So, Jimmy, it's good to meet you. And we've been trying to get together for ages now, but finally made it. And introducing myself, I'm Glen McCoy. I'm a scriptwriter, have been doing it for decades. Came into it in a rather strange way, which I might allude to in a moment. I get a lot of requests from people to read their scripts, to point the way, to show them. I think one of the things that eludes people is where to start, how to keep going, how to finish, and of course, above all, how to sell their script. 20 times more people who currently want to write scripts, want to get movies written. And I've been thinking about it in terms of if I was now swapping places with those people, what would I be looking for?
Movie script code.
Movie script code is something that I have devised. At the moment, if you are new to script writing, or even if you've been script writing but want to just get ahead, well, I get very confused. I get one guru telling me to go in this direction, the other guru saying is completely the opposite direction. And there's so much advice. What is it that makes me watch this movie in a genre I would not normally even get anywhere near? And if I was to read about the movie, the log line somewhere, it probably wouldn't interest me. But now I've started to watch it. What is that thing that's pulling me in, making me really enjoy this experience? There's got to be something more than people following a very standard kind of script format. It's almost like making an X-ray of this very successful movie.
Like a template.
A template, yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than go to a book that says you start here, you start with act one, you start with the hook. No, I created a shorthand for what I was seeing on the screen, what I was hearing, almost like a language, which I now call movie script code, doing my own story, but using that same structure. Sent this now to this lady I'm working with, and she said, "You cracked it." She said, "Now I like it." And I was a bit blown away by this. And of course, I didn't tell her what I'd done because I wasn't sure I should at that stage.
You think they're going to lose their creativity if they try to stay to a box of
Okay, so here's the great thing about movie script code is I used the intro when I was having a problem with my script. The intro changed the whole first act, seemed to work. It pushed out the other acts, and I ended up with a script that I was happy with. But I used the movie script code idea when I was stuck in the
Oh,
box, if
okay.
you like, right? Now, you don't have to use movie script code for an entire movie. What I've done is I've now collected a number of well-known movies that I think are amazing, and of course they are amazing because they make so much money. I always think I know it sounds a little materialistic. If a movie doesn't make money, then it can't be that good. Someone once,
Well, I did 170 of them. None of them made money. So don't
well,
be putting me down.
well,
Yeah.
and this is the comment I will always get. People will say, "Ah, you don't understand. Mine's an art house movie." Then you're making movies for yourself. Now,
Right.
for
And
me,
that's
yeah,
what I do,
yeah.
basically.
When suddenly you notice the ratings are going up for your work, then you like any artist, you feel okay. People now are looking in my direction and they're appreciating my ideas, which
They're
is always
accepted.
yeah, which is always great. With movie script code, you could use it for the ending, you could use it for the beginning, you can go to when you've got the so-called writer's block when people are just stuck. No, well, I've done it myself. You probably have the same where you can be stuck for weeks on end and you can't quite work out how to get out of it.
Now, mine's usually it's my mind goes on something else, and I try to do too many things at one time. You know, because that's what I wanted to ask you. I
Yeah.
mean, you get back to finishing yours first, but when you come up with a movie, do you have the whole story? Because to me, it plays in my head, and it's like I don't even have any control over it. It's like, and that's why I don't know if your structure would work for me because I'm really good at dialogue. Like two actors would be talking, and it just kind of flows, but. I really don't feel like I'm doing it. It's like I'm watching it from a third party. So I don't know how I would actually like cut that down into your.
So mine's not a template. Mine is purely a resource. If you're writing your script and you're quite happy with it, you won't need movie script code. But what I'm saying is, I'm not suggesting that every script writer now needs to use this kind of idea. What I am suggesting is, if you're new to writing
Oh,
and
okay.
you're wondering, okay, how should I start this? Well, rather than look at a book on how to write scripts, look at a movie that you like. Okay, well, take that and codify it. I mean, there's a certain process I've created, but anyway, codify it and now use it for what you're working on. A worst case is it doesn't work. So far for me, when I've suggested this to other writers, they've gone off and done it. They're pleasantly surprised, like I am.
I always tell everybody too is that, there's certain people that are successful, but each formula is different for each one. But I have heard other writers tell me sort of what you do is they take something they really like, get the script from that movie, and basically learn from
I
that.
think the trap with that is gives you ideas. It might even inspire you to start writing, but it's not going to give you the formula
Right.
to make it work. I know how hard it has been for me to get to a stage now where I feel confident to take on a commission for a movie script. I fell into script writing by accident, pure accident, because I misunderstood. I met someone who said they knew a BBC commissioner. Is he or she quite high up? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's been with the BBC for years and very well respected. I said, and you know this BBC commissioner? She says, yeah, I do. I said, wow, could you get a script to them? Now, I didn't even have a script. In fact, I just had this idea. I said, could you get this idea to them? You give it to me. And I physically handed her this idea on a couple of sheets of paper. And I said, this will go to a BBC commissioner. She said, absolutely. We're very good friends. I'll get back to you next week. So I thought, wow, this is
Man.
amazing. Anyway, she gets back to me. She says, he's read your idea. He thinks it's rather good. I said, wow. However, he said, you need an agent. Send it to the BBC through your agent, and that will be the best thing. And I'm thinking, okay, this is code for send it to me officially, and
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
Unsolicited material. Trust me, I
Exactly,
invented that over here. I used to send
exactly.
stuff to Spielberg and all them. They called my house saying, Jimmy, stop.
Didn't have an agent. I won't go through the whole story of how I got an agent. So I sold my way into this agent taking me on a trial basis. I sent the idea to her. I said, "Would you send this off?" She said, "All right, I'll send it off." Sent it off, and I got commissioned. I thought, there we go, BBC commissioner. Or it's not, what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
To cut a very, very long story short, I did get commissioned. I did write actually, it was a two-part script for BBC TV, and it was well received. Everything was great until I realized who this BBC commissioner was. Because to me, without the BBC commissioner, I would not got all the success. And by the way, from that script, I got more BBC commissions, ITV commissions. It kick-started my
Snowball.
career.
Yeah.
Okay, that it wasn't a BBC commissioner, it was a BBC commissionaire. Now, when she said to me she knew a BBC commissionaire, my brain heard commissioner because that's what I want. I want a commissioner.
Yeah.
It's a BBC commissionaire. Now, what a commissionaire is in the UK is someone on reception who answers the phone, takes, gives you your pass,
Yeah.
has nothing to do with anything creative. She sent my idea to this guy on the door who read it and said, yeah, this should go to the BBC. I love it. And
Hey,
it,
it doesn't matter as long as it worked.
but what occurred to me is, had I not thought that way, I would have never got into writing.
Yeah.
How many writers are being held back because they don't have the courage to just get on and take action and do stuff? They're waiting for, well, I don't know anybody, or this is not good enough, or all these things, the interference holding them back. When with the right mindset, they can go forward and do some extraordinary things.
Well,
Because the fact,
that's why I do my own is because nobody was going to read my script. So I was like, I'll go make it myself because basically I was just a really shy guy, but I love movies. So I just started doing it. Just one day, just turned on the camera, had me and my cousin and a friend, lost them. Then I started playing all the characters and I just never stopped in 30 years. That
yes,
you can do this. Doesn't matter about everybody else. Just do it. And that's what I do. But I did want to get back to your whole thing of having the courage because I recently actually got paid to turn a book into a script. And it was like basically a historical thing, which, fact checking and all that. I was terrified because it's not just like how somebody would come to you and say, hey, write this story to where you kind of have free range. I had to do stuff that was history fact checked, but add in my own fiction and then hand it to her and say, "Do you like it?" Thank God she liked it. Do you ever get over that? Like the more that you submit your script or somebody commissions you for a script, do you ever get over the nerves of they're going to hate it?
So I discovered, I don't know if discovered it for myself, probably a lot of people know this already. I realized that when you get commissioned, particularly if there's a sizable amount of money involved, the worst thing you can do is say, "Great, I'll come back to you," and come back with a script. The chances are they're going to hate it. So what I have done in recent years is I have insisted on a weekly call with the person commissioning me, and I give them an update of what I've done in that week. Because I do that, they often don't have anything to say other than, "Okay, that's fine. Yeah, very happy with that." And when you eventually deliver your script, because they've seen every little step,
Right.
they go, "Love it. I love it."
What I did with her is saying, look, let's Zoom and you tell me the story in your own words about your grandfather, and I'll take the facts. And I found out a lot of them didn't line up, but I had to go with hers. Especially the first 8 pages, I thought played better than anything I've ever did. It showed how this whole structure of the movie was going to be. And she agreed once she finally read it that, yeah, that first 8 pages were awesome. But I never did send it to her until I finished the script because I was afraid it was going to hurt my, inspiration. You didn't think that to where what if they got some negative stuff on the phone? You didn't think that it was going to like hurt your strength?
I was very pleased whenever they did say anything negative because I knew that at least I now know kind of what direction I need to take. So because they're obviously paying for the script, and getting that allowed me to be able to say right at the end, and by the way, as you know, I've taken account of all the various comments you've made, and here is your script. And most people are very happy with that. I think the thing that's frustrating for me now is, and I don't know if you've heard of this. I've heard about this in Hollywood. Whether this is true or not, I don't know. And I understand in Hollywood there are lots of script writers who get commissioned and get paid a lot of money for their script. However, they absolutely do not want the script to be made into a movie. Now, I don't know if you've heard this.
No,
It's
I
very
haven't heard
strange.
it. I heard of them using like AI and just telling like it have them write it, but I never heard of anybody not wanting their work to be made, get the
So,
credit for it.
so I understand that there is this group of writers, and the reason they don't want anyone to make their movie is if the movie is made, and unless that movie is a blockbuster, they'll never write again. No one will ever commission them again. And therefore, by nothing ever being made, they're continually getting commission from producers. And one producer will say, "Oh, try this guy, he's really good." And they're continuing to get commissions. Now, I'm in a situation like that a little bit at the moment because I'm getting commissioned from producers. And okay, I'm writing something that I want to write because I like the idea. So I'm being paid to write this script. However, I know that the chances of it being made are very small because these aren't major producers. These are
Yeah.
people with some money wanting you to write, inspiring me now to forget about the commission, to decide on something I absolutely am 100% passionate about. I will write it and then get it made in a different way. I'll start. I'll kind of produce it myself if need be, but I will take that path, which it sounds like a path you'd like to take as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I do it because I come up with so many ideas, like 5 different stories a day, and I can never live long enough to make them. So that's why I started doing like pitches and just say, hey, if you like this idea, then I'll write it into a script. Otherwise, like this idea, because it just never stops.
An AI script writer hasn't got a heart or a soul.
Right.
Despite what people want to say about it. And I know there are people marrying robots and things. Well, fine, but I think you're going to come unstuck at some point.
Or it could get so good that nobody's needed because I did see some of the video AI that looked pretty good that I do want to try to, get into just to see because the thing is I make movies, but it's a lot of work. Like I said, I really don't even prepare for a movie until I start pushing record because I never know who's going to cancel on me, how I'm
Yeah,
going to have to change it, what's
yeah.
going to have to change, if it's going to rain. I'll be like, when the people walk through the door, then I start because that's the only way to get rid of the worry. Did you ever produce any of your own?
Yes, a very long time ago, when I started out. In fact, I started making movies before I'd started script writing. And although I wrote the script for the movie, it was an inconvenience. It was like doing something just so the actors knew what they had to say. I wasn't writing a proper script, but I was seeing it in my head, scene by scene, as you probably also do. And Yeah, the first movie I made was an hour and 20 minutes. It was shown in a theatre which I hired in London, and it was great. I mean, it didn't make any money, but it was a great experience.
Right.
And I think more script writers need to make movies. They would improve their script writing. The mindset again, it's not having the confidence to say to yourself, "Look, if I can do it a little, I can do it a lot."
I'm gonna jump in on that because you were like talking about your code. And there's one thing that when I used to do the acting classes, I used to tell people, look, when you take my acting class, take other people's, take theirs, because everybody's different. What you want is as much information as possible. So, like I said, go to code, go to read the scripts, do all that, and then find your way.
Yes.
Because everybody's different. But I do agree with you 100% that is mindset. Believe that you can do it and just do it.
And it's getting your mind to understand and believe in yourself.
Confidence, whether you're a writer, actor, whatever you are, confidence will bleed through, you know.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
there's a chance more for success if you just 100% believe you can do it.
Yes.
Yeah, even if you can't. Don't even tell yourself. You know. But yeah, I appreciate your time and I'm glad that we finally got to do this.
Love it. Thank you very much, Jimmy. Good to meet you.